Speaker, before the election, this Prime Minister said he would lower energy bills by £300. Since he took office, they've gone up by £149. He said he would protect the winter fuel payment, but now he's in power, he's stripped it off our pensioners. Does he understand why the people of these islands, especially those of us in Scotland, treat him with such...
In a twist that even satirists couldn't have predicted, Keir Starmer's government has managed to unite farmers, chefs, and comedians in opposition. It sounds like the setup for a joke, but the punchline is far from funny.
This is now the defining characteristic of this one-trick phony Prime Minister who says one thing and does another. And he said he lined up for many photos with waspy women, saying he'd have their backs, and he's just betrayed them in the most scandalous way possible.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. As Chef Tom Carriage calls the budget catastrophic and Ricky Gervais takes jabs on social media, we're left wondering, is this the government we were promised, or have we all been had? Keir Starmer's journey from the man of integrity to a figure of public disappointment is a tale that would make even the most seasoned political observers raise an eyebrow. When he first stepped onto the national stage, Starmer was hailed as a breath of fresh air in British politics.
They used to ask those questions from this sort of area with very many MPs not so long ago. That all changed in July, and he's now carping from right up there. We can hardly hear him.
His promises of transparency, economic stability, and a new era of trust in government resonated with a public weary of political scandals and broken pledges. But as the old saying goes, the higher they climb, the harder they fall. And Starmer's fall from grace has been nothing short of spectacular. The unraveling of his carefully crafted image began with a series of policy reversals that left supporters scratching their heads. Remember his commitment to abolish university tuition fees? That quickly went out the window, replaced by vague promises of reform that left students feeling betrayed. Yet it was the $40 billion tax increase that truly shattered the illusion. This move, described by economic commentators as a sledgehammer to the kneecaps of the working class, sent shockwaves through the nation. Small business owners, already struggling in a post-pandemic economy, found themselves facing an insurmountable financial hurdle. The public trust, already hanging by a thread, finally snapped. The backlash was swift and merciless. Former supporters turned critics overnight, their disappointment palpable in every scathing comment. One Labour Party member, who wished to remain anonymous, summed up the mood.
I've interviewed the Prime Ministers of Britain, Israel, Australia. I went to the Ukraine to interview President Zelensky. I interviewed former US President Donald Trump. I've interviewed other US presidential candidates for 2024. The one person I've not interviewed is Keir Starmer.
We thought we were getting a champion of the people. Instead, we got a wolf in sheep's clothing. As the criticism mounted, Starmer's attempts to defend his actions only seemed to dig him deeper into a hole of public distrust. His explanations, once praised for their clarity, now rang hollow in the ears of a disillusioned electorate. The man who promised to restore faith in politics had become the very thing he once railed against.
Sorry,
Well,
have I offended you in some?
No, it's just... I just...
A woman can't have opinions.
I don't think that discussing this issue in this way helps.
The extent of Starmer's credibility crisis became painfully clear in the latest polling data. His approval ratings, once soaring in the high 60s, have plummeted to a dismal 28%. Political analysts are calling it one of the most dramatic falls from grace in recent British political history. As we witness this unfolding drama, one can't help but wonder, what are the consequences of this lost public trust? With protests mounting and allies turning their backs, Starmer's government faces a crisis that goes beyond mere policy disagreement. It strikes at the very heart of democratic accountability, and as we'll see in the next chapter of this political saga, the repercussions of betrayed promises can lead to actions that shake the very foundations of civil liberties. From the ashes of broken pledges rose a phoenix of public fury. The Southport riots weren't just a symptom of discontent, they were a harbinger of a new, darker chapter in British politics. As tensions boiled over, a mob attacked a mosque and a hotel housing migrants, revealing the deep-seated frustrations over immigration policies and social issues. Starmer's response to this crisis was swift and severe, marking a stark departure from his previous stance on civil liberties.
Perhaps the real reason why Sir Keir Starmer doesn't want us to focus on so-called woke issues is because of the problem he's had in answering simple questions. If you want to run the country, you should really stop ducking interviews.
Gone was the man who once championed the right to protest. In his place stood a leader seemingly intent on quashing dissent at any cost. The establishment of fast-track courts to expedite prosecutions raised eyebrows, but it was the disproportionate sentencing that truly shocked the nation. Take, for instance, the case of a woman who received a 15-month custodial sentence for posting a distasteful comment on Facebook. This harsh punishment for what many viewed as a misguided social media post sent chills through the public. It begged the question, was this justice or a dangerous overreach of government power? The controversy deepened as accusations of a two-tier justice system began to surface. While some faced severe consequences for their actions, others seemed to escape scrutiny altogether. A left-wing activist who spread false information about an acid attack faced no charges, fueling suspicions of selective prosecution based on political alignment. As criticism mounted, Starmer's government didn't back down. They doubled down. The response to this backlash has left many questioning the future of free speech in Britain. Proposed social media regulations aim to limit content deemed legal but harmful, a vague classification that has experts worried. The government's potential ability to define misinformation at will has raised red flags among civil liberties advocates. Even tech mogul Elon Musk weighed in, labeling Starmer's administration as authoritarian. His comments resonated with many, including readers of The Telegraph, who expressed growing concerns over the implications for civil liberties. As we witness this alarming shift, one can't help but wonder, is this the same Keir Starmer who promised to restore integrity to British politics? Or have we unwittingly ushered in an era where dissent is silenced and free speech is merely a relic of the past? The answers to these questions may well determine the future of democracy in Britain. As we reflect on Keir Starmer's tumultuous journey, it's clear that the promises of integrity and transparency have crumbled under the weight of political reality. From the 40 billion tax hike to the heavy-handed response to protests, Starmer's actions have left many questioning the very foundations of British democracy. The shift from champion of civil liberties to authoritarian figurehead is a transformation that would make even the most jaded political observers pause. It's a stark reminder of how quickly power can corrupt and how easily democratic principles can be eroded in the name of maintaining order. But what does this mean for the future of British democracy? As we watch a government seemingly intent on silencing dissent and controlling the narrative, we must ask ourselves, is this the price we're willing to pay for perceived stability? The answer lies not in passive acceptance, but in active engagement. It's time for increased public scrutiny and a renewed commitment to holding our leaders accountable, supporting independent journalism, engaging in peaceful protests, and demanding transparency are not just rights, they're responsibilities. In the face of growing authoritarianism, silence is not an option. The future of British democracy depends on our willingness to question, challenge, and demand better from those who claim to lead us. The power to shape that future lies in our hands. Will we use it?